Hey, boo, hey, it is Coach Janine. We are back for Intentional Queen podcast. I have missed you. I know you missed me. Like, girl, where have you been? The kids are just now going back to school. So, you know what? This is going to be talking about Salah, permission to pause. I have been doing a lot this summer, but more than anything, as y'all know, when I'm on a sabbatical, I had to learn, you know what? I'm going to embody what I'm doing so that my clients can even see it. I Choose Me Boot Camp wrapped up about a month ago. We're getting ready to go into our next cohort. So shouting out the people who will be joining me in October. I only have a limited of 10 spots. You hear me? 10 spots, because I'm not going to overwhelm myself, but I also want to be able to serve you in the best way possible. So we opened up our wait list a couple weeks ago, and multiple women have raised their hand just to even have the conversation of a free breakthrough call. My goal is not to just get you into the program, but it needs to be a good fit. So just coming to see me to do a breakthrough call at coachjanine.com can change your life. If you're not in our email community, you definitely need to be over there at intentionalqueenjourney.com, where I'm sending Mindset Mondays. You get the Bloom Free Telegram group, and you get the sexy talk checklist, because that's so important. And I am, giving you insight into my signature Bloom framework. So let's talk about it. As I said, I haven't really been showing present up in the podcast, but people have been coming to me like, where you been? And people have been binging my content. We have been doing over 100 episodes. Like, this year just flew by. And for the people who don't know, I'm Coach Janine, but I am really helping you with burnout, giving you the confidence and the tools so you can bloom with harmony in every area of your life. Okay. That's business, that's at work, that's in all areas of your life. And when we do those things, we're able to have the permission to pause. So when I did a speaking event, I was asked to come to speak at a conference in Alexandria, Virginia this summer around June, to be a keynote to talk about burnout, but also the permission to pause. And so many women inside of that conference, they left, of course, testimonials, but my goal when I started speaking to them was to give them what they needed. And as you know, on my platform, I'm a A-N-D, I'm a and. And so God's going to always be in the midst of this. And so where I'm going with this and bringing it full circle is about the sabbatical that I chose to take as I stepped away from nurse anesthesia almost a year ago. Can't even believe I'm saying that out loud. It just hits me sometimes different in such a positive way. And I was doing some deep dive in my own journaling, in my own Bible studying, and all that. And Salah talks about Selah, the pause. And I'm always talking about the permission to pause, and how that's how I was able to regain harmony. And that question came up multiple times of, Janine, how can I have permission to pause without taking a full sabbatical? I took a sabbatical because I'm doing the mission of this. But that does not mean that in your own life that you have to take a full year off. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is, where are there stages in your life that you can have your own Salah? Where are there stages in your life that you can say, I choose me? And when I was speaking, I had those women, after every point that I gave them, I told them, say, I choose me. It is nothing when you affirm yourself to the level to know that you are enough. And as far as I'm concerned, in the first part of my Bloom framework is believing yourself. You hear me? How you talk to yourself is how you talk to others. I believe in positive, sexy talk. I have a whole podcast episode where I give you my affirmations and you can say it along with me. I want to say that's episode 68 or something like that. You can always check it out. It's called Believing in Yourself, Daily Affirmations. So you can go back through, whether you're listening on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening right now. Just make sure you pause, subscribe to the channel, okay? Reach out for your girl. But go ahead and look for that episode and you can play it. Because I recently had a breakthrough call. I know I'm rambling a little bit, but when I miss you, I got to come in and give you all the catch up, all the tea. And I had a breakthrough call, and she said, Neen, I just want to smile. It was that simple in the breakthrough call. I said, what are you really looking to gain by being in I Choose Me? She said, I seen you on another podcast talking about your story, and I want to work with you. But really what I want is to find joy again. I just want to smile. This is what I'm telling you about the permission to pause. When you are go, 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 you self-neglecting, you're in burnout, things that normally used to bring you joy do not. You don't feel happy about your life. You just feel like that caterpillar, right? This is all birthed off of my book, I Choose Me, the intentional guide to never losing yourself again. And so the goal here is, I want to get you out of caterpillar to us in the cocoon work. And it's work to be done. Do you hear me? It's work. Vulnerability is messy. So, what I'm going to give you as I was praying over what I was going to tell you here about Salah, but the permission to pause is I came up with something that I think I want you to think about when you're journaling this time. And you may have to listen to this again, but I wanted to give you insight because as we're gearing up for the next I Choose Me boot camp cohort, I want you to be a part of it, but I also want you to take some of these notes and work on things for yourself. So, I like to speak in parables, but I also like to give you some acronyms, right? We got Bloom, we got all types of stuff. So now I'm going to talk about pivot. But one of my words of the year was pivot towards peace. So when I was thinking about Salah, because when I have thoughts, y'all not be having thoughts. And so this year, my word of the year is refinement. But in the past, one of it was pivot, and it was pivot towards peace. And if we talking about peace, then we talking about pause. And when we talking about pause, we talking about Salah. And when we talking about sabbatical, we talking about rest. And when we talk about God, we talk about the Sabbath. And he said it was what? Good. So this is giving you the permission to pause where I'm talking about P is going to start for pause. I is going to be for identity. V is going to be for vulnerability. O is going to be what can you offer yourself? Okay? What can you do? And T is going to be take that baby step. So I want you to pivot. You said, Janine, what are some actionable steps I can do for the permission to pause? Queen, I want you to pivot. Now I done gave you steps for the pivot. So let's talk about it. P, pause, right? When you're giving yourself permission to pause, you're giving yourself a chance to step back. It's important. It's a non-negotiable. I did a whole, now y'all know y'all need to go over to the YouTube channel and subscribe, but I did a whole Bloom series where I'm answering questions from my Telegram group, but I also did Calm is the New Flex. And we did an episode with Tamika Lyons and she talked about my peace is priceless. So we really talk about calm and peace because it's nothing like grabbing your piece of peace. People think it's funny, but let me tell you something about pausing for peace. It's expensive. Your peace is expensive. You will lose people. You will lose things. You will lose places. But you have to be okay with understanding. You hear me? How you have to move when you pause in that situation and choose you. So that leads to your identity. Once you know who you are, then you recognize I choose me. So my identity is I know who I am and I'm worthy of this peace. I'm worthy of stepping back. I'm worthy of taking care of myself. It may sound so far gone, but it goes back to my client that came talking about she just wants to smile. She just wants to smile. It's that simple. She just wants to smile. Some things we don't even take. I mean, some things we do take for granted, but even when they talk about your endorphins, it is nothing about laughing. I was out and about this weekend and it was very funny because they was like, you really like wholehearted. Like I had like a belly laugh and it felt so good to just like full on laugh. Not just like, but like a joyous laugh. When you have that, it sends endorphins to your brain. It will help with your blood pressure. I went and got me my full history and physical just because it's basic routine checkup. And they like, what you been doing? I'm like, listen, she been on this permission to pause, doing what? Her salah, which is her pause, which is her sabbatical, what is her Sabbath. She's resting. She's having several seats, but she's also working on the things that feed her soul. And I'm speaking to me in third person because I want you to insert yourself into some things that you can do. And if not, then what? You need to be over at I Choose Me Bootcamp so we can get you right. And you're going to work this Bloom framework all the way through. Okay? So now we're moving on to V, vulnerability. Now, I tell you, vulnerability is messy. It's unsexy. You don't look good when you're vulnerable. But you know what? As an overachiever, as a people pleaser, as one that was perfectionist, you don't want to be vulnerable. You show up like a robot because you don't want nobody to judge you. But let me lean in. You ready? Lean in. One more time. Lean in. They're going to judge you anyway. That may hurt someone's feelings, but they're going to judge you anyway. And when you recognize they're going to judge you anyway, you become more vulnerable. Now, don't you be vulnerable to the point that you just out here just trauma dumping and just sharing in spaces that aren't safe. But I mean, you sit yourself in a therapist seat. My clients, sometimes when they come with me, I'm like, I need you to have your therapist, but you also need to coach with me. I'm going to move you further. Your therapist is going to unpack with you and deal with that trauma and things that you have. Like sometimes it's not your friends and family that need to be hearing all your problems. It needs to be you sitting in someone's chair that's unbiased, who can go ahead and speak to some of them things that you're not dealing with so you can understand why you're not smiling, right? Shouting you out, queen. I want to see you smiling. If that's so important to you to make your life more important, and if anything, giving you endorphins and giving you extra years on your life so you're not taking years off from stress, that's what I'm talking about. That's what we're doing when we're vulnerable. Sharing the story. She saw me on another podcast and she said, listen, I said, oh, I got to find you. So this is another thing when it goes back to you posing, getting in position, knowing who you are, saying I choose me, and being vulnerable, because then people be like, oh, I see you. So then the O is you offer. What can you offer to yourself? What is an action you could take for yourself? What is something you can do when you're pivoting towards peace? Because what does peace look like for you? What is the offer? That's what I want you to think about. What does it look like for you? Because that's the question I asked the queen when I said you here for this call. What does it look like for you? Because everybody's life is different. And one thing when you work with me in the I Choose Me boot camp is we talk about one, how to rebuild confidence, but two, we talk about how to beat burnout, but three, I give you a personalized harmony roadmap so you never lose yourself again. So I give you the template of the harmony roadmap. Shout out Renati because she knows that is how she ended up having her personalized roadmap, and all my clients as well. But I like to shout out my clients along the way because you have to be able to celebrate your wins no matter what size. You hear me? It does not matter what other people think. It matters what you think. You hear me? And then the T, you take the baby steps. Right? Y'all know I have the Activate Momentum Masterclass. You'll ask me to bring it back. I'm probably going to bring it back live coming up soon, probably in September, because now the kids is back in school. And so because people back in school, mommy's got time. Okay. And this is what I want you to think about when you're pivoting towards peace. And you're giving yourself the permission to pause because of the Salah, because of the sabbatical, because of the Sabbath. And it was okay. I'm bringing that full circle for you because I want you to understand this episode was more for me to touch base with you, to cheer you on, to let you know we're winding down to the end of the year. What does it look like for you? What do you want 2025 to end like for you? You hear me? What do you want it to look like? Because you don't get time back. Time is precious and so is your peace. And when you know you don't get it back, and I'm telling you this from a person who has experienced grief on some levels that I didn't think I would before the age of 40. I'm over 40 now, but before the age of 40, all this grief, I was like, listen, it really changed my outlook about creating memories, making time. That's part of the reason why I took my sabbatical, because I recognize time is something I don't get back. And this is the time that I need for me. And this is the time my child needs with me, and just showing up for me. If y'all not on my Instagram or on my other social medias, you know, I put up quotes, but I'm going to talk to you about the permission to pause. It's a thing. And this thing has even birthed for me just going back and teaching resilience even at the nurse level. Because a lot of times what I recognize when you guys started reaching back out to me, half of y'all are nurses. I didn't know that at first, but half of y'all are. Y'all moms too. I deal with entrepreneurs. I deal with all types, but when I started to recognize this is a common thread with us out here, that I need to speak on the pivot. So what is your word of the year? Think about that. Are you doing the positive sexy talk? If not, then go get the checklist, intentionalqueenjourney.com. If you're ready to do the work and finish off 2025, knowing what you're doing, beating burnout and being confident, then you need to go ahead and get on the waiting list. And you can join that by going to intentionalqueenjourney.com or booking a call with me at coachjanine.com. These are all tools, because one thing I had to learn, and my mama, I'm going to salute her to this, is when you get sick and tired, when you get sick and tired of being sick and tired, you do something about it. And so run with that, because that's the T of taking the baby step, because you're pivoting towards peace. And this is going to be something that I want you to think about as we go through. I want you to bring your notebook back and listen to this again. I want you to share this with a queen who needs to hear this message. I want you to know, just because you don't hear me every week or every other week does not mean I'm not busy or I'm not showing up for you. What I'm doing is showing up for me. You hear me? And what I mean by showing up for me is sometimes when you look at your wheel of life of harmony, some things have to be put down and other things may have to be picked up. And when you recognize you don't have to carry all the balls in the air at one time, you don't become as overwhelmed. That is why it's called harmony, not balance. Harmony is this part of me needs this now. This has to be put down. This needs to be picked up. I am showing you this because I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. I live it. And people watch you because I didn't know people was really watching me, but people watch you and they see what you're doing and they see you live it. And so, because you are a mom or you're a nurse or whomever you are, people are watching you. So, make sure you are showing up for you and not trying to hold all the balls in the air. That's how you lost yourself. I want you to learn what needs you right now. And if you just need to smile, then we need to figure out what makes you smile because that is going to become your offer and you taking your baby step. You've been vulnerable to talk about it. Now you know you need to choose yourself and you took a step back or a pause to figure out I need to do something because I'm sick and tired. See how we brought that all together? I've missed you. There's more coming. I have more people coming to the podcast. People have been reaching out, so I got guests coming. I am really refining this podcast journey with us. You are evolving with me. In October, y'all, it will be 5 years. Y'all been rocking with me. We're over 20,000 downloads. And because of my message, I was recently put in an article by She Rise Studio. They did their big magazine called Podcast Stars, and I was pulled in there. They did an article. Well, really, I wrote my article and they published it inside there. And I talked about the mic that gave me permission to what? Pause, rise, and bloom. So this here is very important that I want you to know from me taking the pivot towards peace 4.5 years ago has led to me being able to pause, to know I choose me, which is identity, to be vulnerable about it and share it on this platform with you, to offer with you and talk to you about the things, what we've been talking about, self-love, self-healing, growth mindset, right? Burnout, all these things you're evolving with me. And it just started with me taking the baby step of showing up for myself and showing up for you. We've been able to do the book. It has even led into the course. So this is someone that I know is going to hear it and feels nervous of how to start the pause. I'm answering you, Queen. That's how you do it. And so, if you want to learn more where I take you further through the steps and me hold your hand, and I invite you to come to I Choose Me Boot Camp. And that's at, like I said, book your free breakthrough call at coachjanine.com or join our waiting list at intentionalqueenjourney.com. So I miss you guys. Remember, we drop new episodes. This is really what's been going on. And I miss you. And I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Level up yourself. Level up your intentional queen to a better you guys. Bye-bye.